nickel alloy is the first one is Duranickel. It is the composition of 93% of nickel, 4.5% aluminum, 0.25% of copper, 0.5% of silicon, 0.15% of copper, so carbon, 0.25% of manganese, and a small amount of sulfur, titanium, and iron elements. It is properties of high corrosion resistance properties and also good hardenable one, excellent spring properties material, high thermal and electrical conductivity. Is the application of Duranickel is mainly using in fish cooks manufacturing, diaphragms, springs, clips, clamps and leaf spring manufacturing, fasteners, shaft and gears, snap switch blades. So second one is permanickel. It is the 98.6% of nickel, 0.2 to 0.5% of magnesium, and a small amount of carbon, manganese, sulfur, titanium, copper, and iron material. Okay, it is the 98.65% of nickel, and 0.25% of magnesium. Okay, this is a permanent nickel. It is a good hardenable material, high thermal and electrical conductivity, good corrosion resistance, and good spring properties. Okay, it is a good spring properties is mainly used to manufacturing of higher electrical and magnetic properties field material, springs, clips, electrical contacts of thermostat and conduct arms, solid state capacitor. Okay, this is mainly used for manufacturing of solid state capacitor material. This is a permanent nickel. Is the next one is the Monel metal. It is the composition is 66% of nickel, 30% of copper, and a small amount of manganese and iron material. It is properties high corrosion resistance and good strength for high temperature applications and good formability of properties. It is mainly used for manufacture of marine propeller shaft safety and mooring lines. Okay, so mooring lines manufacturing and heat exchangers, pumps and valves material, offshore oil rings, drilling equipments manufacturing, in aerospace field fuel tanks and hydraulic line manufacturing, eyeglass frames manufacturing, and some musical instrument manufacturing for using for Monel metal. So next one is electrical resistance alloy. It is a composition 80% nickel and 20% of chromium. Is a high electrical resistivity material. It is a high electrical resistivity material, high operating temperature, good ductility and oxidation and corrosion resistance property. It is mainly used for industrial furnace and heaters manufacturing, domestic ovens, toasters manufacturing, electrical ovens and hair dryer manufacturing. Is the Inconel. It is a composition percentage 76% of nickel and 16% of chromium and 8% of iron material. It is high corrosion resistance and good strength, good oxidation resistance, good weldability, excellent fatigue and grip resistance. For particularly for Inconel 625 material is particularly for high grip resistance property and fatigue strength property. Okay, is the common properties of Inconel. Is the application is containers, muffled furnace and retards. Is in aerospace field is jet engine exhaust system, turbine rings and fuel tubing manufacturing, in a reactor vessels, heat exchanger manufacturing, high pressure manifolds, flexible metal hoses manufacturing, in submarine propulsion systems and nuclear reactor manufacturing. Submarine propulsion system and nuclear reactors component manufacturing. It's the Inconel X. Okay, is the Inconel X is the composition is 76% of nickel, 16% of chromium, 8% of iron, and 2.5% of titanium and 1% of aluminum composition. It is high hardenable, age hardenable, and high temperature strength over 800 700 degrees Celsius, and high corrosion and oxidation resistance, fatigue and creep resistance, work in cryogenic temperature, so less than 0 degree Celsius temperature. This is work less than 0 degree Celsius. Okay, is the cryogenic temperature. Is application is jet propulsion parts, gas turbine supercharger manufacturing. In aerospace field, gas turbine blades, rocket engine parts, X-15 rocket plane skins. Okay, so body manufacturing, particularly X-15 rocket plane skin, gas turbines and spring and gaskets, gas turbine springs and gaskets manufacturing. Next one is Hostali. Is Hostali A? It is the composition of 50% of nickel. Okay, 50% nickel, 20% of molybdenum, and 20% of iron material. So mixing of some other material. Okay, small amount of some other material. So high corrosion resistance property, high temperature strength, good ductility and workability material. Is a low cycle of fatigue resistance at high temperatures. Okay, it is low cycle of fatigue resistance at high temperature applications. It is containers in chemical manufacturing, containers in chemical industry, some offshore platforms and equipments in oil manufacturing industry, and also components for gas turbines and combustors and liners manufacturing, combustor and liners in particularly in the gas turbine components. So next is Invar. Is the composition 36% of nickel and 65% of iron. It is age hardenable, high temperature strength, low thermal expansion of the material, better dimensional stability. It is a better dimensional stability, high corrosion resistance at up to 500 degrees Celsius. Okay, it is a high corrosion resistance or high 500 degrees Celsius. It is mainly used in aerospace application, electronic tubes, for a transformer bushing and capacity management, in automotive lighting and measuring instruments for vernier scale and scale gauges. Okay, measuring instrument of vernier scales and some gauges. Okay, gauges manufacturing. Next one is the covar material. Okay, is the alloy of covar is 29% nickel, 55% iron, 17% of cobalt. Okay, it is iron nickel cobalt alloy. It is iron nickel cobalt alloy. It is a low thermal expansion, better dimensional stability, high corrosion resistance over 500 degrees Celsius, good messinability, ductility and weldability material for cover material. Its application is glass to glass, glass to metal, ceramic to metal seals in electronic vacuum devices and microwave tubes manufacturing and transistor diodes and hybrid circuits manufacturing, vacuum tight seal manufacturing, and also used for vacuum tight seal, transistor diodes and hybrid circuits, microwave tubes, glass to metal and ceramic to metal seals in electronic and vacuum devices. So next one is Elinvar. Elinvar is the iron nickel chromium alloy. Iron nickel chromium alloy. 36% of nickel, 65% of iron, 12% of chromium mixing. So Elinvar is the iron nickel chromium alloy. It is a low thermoelastic coefficient, high corrosion resistance, low thermal expansions, and also ferromagnetic at room temperature. Okay, it is low thermal expansion, ferromagnetic at room temperature. It is manufacturing for hair springs. Okay, hair springs, balance wheels in watches, chronometers manufacturing, high precision spring scale, high precision spring scale for measuring purpose, the measuring seismic forces also in weather. Okay, weather and tsunami. Okay, measuring seismic forces in measuring instruments. Next one is permalloy. Is a permalloy is a nickel ion alloy. It is a nickel ion alloy. 80% of nickel and 20% of iron. The high magnetic permeability. It is a high magnetic permeability, low coercivity. It's a low coercivity, temperature stability, low electrical resistivity. Low electrical resistivity. It is mainly used for coercivity, means easily magnetize and demagnetize material. Okay, it is easily magnetize and demagnetize materials, mainly used for telecommunication applications. Okay, so blocking the external magnetic field by high permeability. So permeability is blocking external magnetic field. Lamination of transformer and inductor cores, magnetic recording heads, read and writing data. Okay, magnetic recording of heads reading and writing data, radio and telecommunication field for particularly for magnetic soft material manufacturing, radio and telecommunication field, non-sparking tools. Okay, it is manufacturing of non-sparking tools for mainly safety in explosive environment, manufacturing, Vermalai. Next is the permin permin wars. Okay, permin wars. The permin wars is the nickel, iron and cobalt alloy. This is the combination of nickel, iron and cobalt alloy. Perminivar is the 45% nickel, 30% iron and 25% of cobalt mixing. Okay. Is a constant permeability, is a high electric magnetic resistivity, low hysteresis loss. Okay, it is a low hysteresis loss, low magnetic field strength, small hysteresis loss. Okay, it is a low magnetic field strength, small hysteresis loss only, low coercivity, easily magnetize and demagnetize property, cores of magnetic recording heads, electrical communication equipments manufacturing, micro electromechanical system, MEMS. Okay, micro electromechanical system, particularly for magnetic MEMS actuators, sensor and actuators. Okay, so magnetic actuators, sensor and magnetic actuators manufacturing. Okay, Perminivar. Next one is all nico is the iron based alloy. Okay, it is the iron based alloy is the mixing of aluminum, nickel and cobalt. So three alloy combination, aluminum, nickel and cobalt. So then only called all nico. It's a 15 to 30% nickel, 5 to 30% of cobalt and 8 to 10% aluminum. Okay, remaining is 6% of copper, 1% of titanium. It is a high magnetic strength material, temperature stability and high temperature working, good corrosion resistance property, deliver a good magnetic flux density, resistant to demagnetization. It is a resistant to demagnetization properties. So mainly used for loudspeaker and musical instruments. Okay, microphones for permanent microphones for permanent magnet manufacturing microphones, some electronic motors and generator manufacturing, navigation equipment in aircraft manufacturing. Okay, thank you.